Hi everyone, I'm here with the Principal of Excelling Key Subjects, Mr. Idris Mustapha, and today we're just talking about options for choosing a school for your child. When parents are looking at the particular options for a school, what things in your experience are worth looking out for?
Let's try to concentrate on secondary school for a start, because there are various sort of schools, primary, secondary, up to university level. In choosing secondary school, some of the things that parents need to look at is the qualifications of the teachers, how qualified the teachers are, the experience they have, and the turnover in terms of how long most of the staff have been teaching at that school. The staff turnover is a very important factor to look for. Also, they may also want to know how long the head teacher has been there and how long the previous head teacher was there. And of course, the critical thing, which is the league table. There are various websites. Where parents can find results, school league table results. The Guardian, the BBC has the education website. On our website, there are also links to where parents could find things about league tables. One critical factor is also the newly introduced e-back.
Mm-hmm.
If the school subscribe to it, what percentage of the students in the school are they aiming to obtain the e-back?
Sure.
There are links to the requirements of the e-back in case people don't know it.
Sure.
On our website.
And would you look for anything else in terms of extracurricular activities, or would you just focus solely on academic achievement?
That's very important, actually. It depends on what parents want. The reality is that the schools who tend to do well academically tend to do well in sports as well. Having said that, that is generalizing, which you can to some extent. As far as the state schools are concerned, many of them do well in sports, but the independent schools, the free schools, paying schools, do a lot better.
Sure.
And the grammar schools also do well. So that's another factor that you may want to consider.
Sure.
In choosing the school in terms of the all-round education, apart from the curriculum in terms of the number of GCSE
Sure.
and A-level that a student achieves. You also need to look at music, sports, art, and various other
Drama.
human endeavor. Yes, drama
Sure.
is another one.
Sure.
Yes.
You mentioned various things about qualifications of teachers, league tables, and so on. I mean, over and above the obvious searching the internet, what other sources of information would you recommend people might look at to kind of get informed as to what's the best choice?
Well, I mean, searching on the internet is certainly very important, but obviously it will be good for them to actually visit the schools. With most schools, they tend to have preset open days.
Mm-hmm.
One important point is that many good independent schools actually don't have an open day as such.
Mm-hmm.
Especially the ones that are small enough.
Mm-hmm.
You can book an appointment to go there at the time when it pleases you, and the head teacher will actually take you around. That is certainly the case with many of the small independent schools. They tend to be very focused on getting the best out of a child, irrespective of their ability, in terms of the small independent schools.
Sure.
In terms of resources, the Times sell, there is a book that they publish every year. There is one for choosing the best independent school. There is another for choosing the best state school.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly keeping an eye on, especially Sunday newspapers tend to do them periodically about November time.
Mm-hmm.
They tend to publish them.
Guides and references.
Yeah,
and
guides
so on.
about, or supplements. They do
Sure.
have inserts in their Sunday newspapers,
Sure.
or Saturday in some cases,
Sure.
to direct parents to, guide about schools.
Sure. And a lot of people, sometimes think about, should they look at independent or fee-paying schools, and some people think about state schools. Do you have any thoughts as to where you might sit, or what advice you might give parents thinking about the options there?
Well, I mean, I think most parents tend to concentrate on exam results, which is rather cruel, really. But yeah, it is certainly an important factor. But when you're choosing a school, one point to note is that on the whole, the independent schools, the fee-paying schools, are better all round. That is the reality.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's not always the case. There are some state schools that are better in terms of getting the exam results. Independent schools tend to be more sort of, they're also very good in terms of sports because they have sports facilities, drama, art, music, and what have you. They tend to be all round in terms of both the curriculum, the actual curriculum, and extra curriculum. For example, things like debating or public speaking, and so on and so forth. Having said that, you have to be really careful when you're talking about independent schools.
Mm-hmm.
There are some independent schools that, I suppose, if you want to be cruel about it, you can actually call them fee-paying comprehensive schools, because they are not very traditional in their approach. There isn't any sort of much in terms of tradition. They sort of concentrate on getting exam results and what have you. They don't necessarily provide a lot in terms of sports facilities and what have you. So you really want to be careful. Obviously, there is also the third option, which is a grammar school. If you happen to live in places where there are grammar schools, such as Wirral, which is up north, there's Kent and Buckinghamshire, those two counties in the south of England. They still do the old style 11 plus exams.
Sure.
So if you happen to live in either the border of Kent or Buckinghamshire, actually it's not actually exclusive to those. Almost every sort of big area, like in Barnet, there are grammar schools, 1 or 2.
Sure.
In Surrey, there are 1 or 2.
Sure.
So there are grammar schools in places, provided you live within the catchment area of those schools.
Sure. So those are some of the things to think about.
Yes.
In terms of the choices that are relevant.
Indeed.
And I know you had some thoughts on paying the fees for independent schools.
I mean, depending on your family's circumstances, the reality is the vast majority of people have to pay all the fees, but there are also grants available or bursary by the school. For example, each specific school has a certain amount of money set aside.
Sure.
In case parents are earning below a certain minimum, they can give the child some bursary towards it. And there are also other charity organizations which set out funds to support people. And for people who are likely not to get any support, there is also investments that there are tax efficient investments that you could invest in, which usually long term, you'll be looking about investing the money for about 10 years.
Sure.
And it is quite tax efficient.
Sure.
So those are possible options.
Those are the things we can consider.
Indeed.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.